Welcome back to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. I'm Connor Williams and I'm joined by Callum Brannan. And today we are going to be doing the match preview for the Leeds Everton game, or Everton Leeds game. Cal, firstly off the bat, how important is this game?
I think it's massively important, really. I think, I think now more than ever we are in a relegation fight. It might be a thing where Lampard, has some time to turn it around. He's only had 2 games. We played decent football in both. I just think the defence let us down last game. But yeah, I think it's massively important, especially because beating a team like Leeds, who are in and around the same area as us, not to be negative, but it kind of beating Leeds kind of drags them back down with us. So then it offers some form of, not comfort, but it does offer the team that ability to maybe feel like they can do this and not be stuck. We beat Leeds, we go 1 point behind them on the same amount. We'll have one less game than them, sorry. So we need it. We've still got a point on Newcastle, but that's it. It's just a point now. And our form, I think we've got the worst form in the league. Yep, we've got the worst form in the league, 4 losses and 1 draw. So I think it's vital that we win this game. I trust Frank, and I think Frank's been doing good work so far. I think after 2 games, you can't really expect a miracle. I mean, it's one excellent performance and one performance better to forget. So I think he'll be able to pull something off against Leeds. But, I think it's about, like, something we'll get. It's getting behind the players and supporting them, especially in this new style of football that they're playing.
Yeah, I mean, I think Newcastle is as bad as it was, and it was, dreadful. I think it's one, shows the sign of the job he's got to do. Like you said, he was never going to come in and do miracles straight off the bat. And 2, I think the injuries really did us over. He'd had to use 2 of his substitutes. And he admitted that in his press conference. In his post-match, he said he'd love to have used, more subs, probably maybe bring on Dominic Calvert-Lewin. But he was never going to risk him when he had no subs left, because you bring Calvert-Lewin on, and the luck we had in that game, you could tell he'd bring Calvert-Lewin on instead of Van der Beek, and he'd get injured. And then what you do, because you've used all your subs and we're down to 10 men. I think the game was just very unlucky. But yeah, I completely agree. I think the game's massive against Leeds. Don't want to use the word 6 pointers, but if you want to avoid the drop, you've got to beat the teams around you. City aren't going to do us no favours when we play them in a couple of weeks. We've still got games in hand as well. I think we've still got Newcastle at home to come. Hopefully a little bit of a better performance that way around. You've highlighted it though, and it's something we are going to talk about. How important is it that the fans sort of, for this last push, completely, utterly make it a bear pit for the opposition, back the players as much as you can, make it really vocal to the players that, they're not the only ones in the fight, the fans are with them.
Yeah, I think that's, in a relegation thing, I think it's up there with the most important thing. I obviously think performances on the pitch are the most important, but I think the fans need to get behind the players, and it's obvious why the fans are frustrated. I get it. We all get why the fans are frustrated, but I also think it is just now where one pass and all of Goodison Park that's booing is just not the right way. Especially right now, I understand we're a club that has big expectations, a big history, one of the real big clubs in England, if you look at history and everything we've got. But I think now in this, it's all about support. You've got to, put your arm around the players and support them, because kicking them while they're down, I don't think it's going to help. I think it does with certain players. I think a player like Richarlison and Calvert-Lewin, I think when they get stick, they're good enough players where they react positively to that. But there's also some players who just don't. And I'm not saying mindlessly support them. I'm not saying if we're playing the worst game of the season, that's, you've got to get behind the backs and, you've got to just constantly cheer. I don't think that's what we mean when we say support the team. We don't mean constantly cheer, constantly. Just make sure that when the players know that the going gets tough, that the fans are behind them and support them. And I think with the style Frank's playing, I think it's quite difficult coming up against 2 high pressing, really. Well, 3 if you include Brentford, except Brentford have quite changed their pressing, but 2 really high pressing teams. Newcastle, we didn't expect it from them, but I think now it's the thing we were talking about where Eddie Howe and Frank Lampard are quite similar in the fact that they need a few weeks to bed in the style of football they want to play. Eddie Howe is now starting to bed that in and look at the results they're getting. They knew where to target us and what to do. They knew that the players are still learning a new system, so to target what they knew. So as soon as someone like Gomez got the ball, for example, even though I don't think he was bad again, I think he was okay. I don't think it's bad. I think he really suits the system. And to be fair, I'm not against him playing again this weekend. But I think it's the thing where they targeted the centre-backs especially. I think Yerry Mina really struggled before he went off with the passing part. I just think he didn't expect Newcastle to come at him that quick. I think he expected to have more time. So I think it's going into this game against Leeds, Frank will know that they're a high-pressing side, but they're also leaky defensively. So we might not play as attractive football. It might not be play out from the defence. It might be get it to midfield and then play it from there. But, the fans need to be on everyone's back. And I also think team selection is massive in this game. But I think that's something we will probably get into. But I think the fans need to just put 100% in behind the club. And I think with Goodison Park rocking and the fans behind them, just like the Brentford game, then I really think I could see a similar result to the Brentford game, to be honest. I'm not expecting 4-1. But, look at what the players have shown what they can do when the atmosphere is like that.
Yeah, and like you said, Leeds aren't exactly Leeds aren't the team they were last season. I'm going to really push that. Like you said, they've been leaky. They haven't kept a clean sheet in 9 matches. They have scored 9 in the last 5, though. Obviously, 3 of them came against Villa. And I watched that Villa game, and I've just thought it's typical. They're about to face us, and all of a sudden they have, I thought, quite a good result. Dan James as well, a player I was critical about. Very fast, but I think he struggled for an end product that then found it in that game. And I sat there watching it thinking, it's curse of the commentator, whatever you want to call it. On right Everton look that they start to pick up form. But they aren't the team of last year. I think that's in sort of Bielsa's style. Obviously, they had injuries as well earlier on, and they were in a youth squad for a couple of it. The bench was quite young. I think that there's clinks in the armour that you can sort of pick at. Main threat for who do you think is their main threat? I was going to give mine, but I'll ask you first. Who do you think is the one that Everton need to really be careful of in that Leeds squad?
Rafinha. He does us in every time he plays against us. He absolutely annihilates our defence. Every single time. Look at how much we struggled with St. Maximin. It's going to be similar. And I think the problem is with Leeds is if Dan James can play a similar game, it's the pace. If we want to play this high line of nice attacking football, Dan James is going to instantly want to get shoulder to shoulder with someone like Michael Keane, and then that's game over. If we had Godfrey, I wouldn't be as worried because Dan James is quick, but I feel like Godfrey is one of those ones who's athletic enough where he could at least keep us he's not as quick, but could at least get in his position much quicker than Keane can. But yeah, I think it's about stopping quick transitions with Leeds. It's about not being wasteful with the ball, and I think that's one thing Frank's can drill because I think against Newcastle, that's what killed us as well. Besides the poor defence and we were so wasteful with the ball. They were just constantly giving the ball away, and I do think that was the St. James's Park atmosphere. Yeah. I do think that played a part, but I think it is composure, Someone like Andre Gomez is something we need because I feel like he did give the ball away a few times, but I feel like you also saw he was quite composed on the ball. He was finding people, he's kind of like, I don't think you'll see many games where Andre Gomez is the best player on the pitch for us, but I think he can dictate the play quite well. And I think if you put Alan and I think Van der Beek definitely should start next to him. And I think we should go to a 4-3-3 this game. I think the 3 at the back, Michaelenko's back, I'm guessing, because it was just COVID.
Possibly, yeah.
But if he's back, I think it has to be back for Michaelenko. It'll have to be Keane Holgate, won't it?
Yeah, I think they're probably going to be the only 2 fit ones. They look like both.
I wouldn't mind Gareth Branthwaite playing again. He played well against Chelsea, and I think he wasn't awful against Newcastle.
I think he struggled the same as Mina at times, struggled to get the ball, but I don't know if that was because they were Newcastle.
I think it might be easier in a back four,
Yeah.
especially if the middle central midfielders coming between the defence and the midfield to pick the ball up. It's just, I think the problem was as well is we were just reverted to long ball football when it didn't work.
Yeah, well, like you said, Frank's obviously tried. He's been saying in training, just enjoy the ball. It obviously takes, if they've been playing, punt it large, hope the striker gets onto it for the last 5 months. That's not going to be reverted out of them in 2 weeks of training. That's going to take quite a while. I must admit, get me wrong, I'm not writing Branthwaite off. I quite like him. I just thought he'd struggle a little bit. But, I mean, the Newcastle, fair play to Newcastle, their team shape, whenever we had the ball, they obviously had their wide players because I think he plays a back 3-5 that you could see in the fullbacks, but the middle of the pitch was so congested at Newcastle. It was really tough. For every one player that had the ball for us, it looked like there were 6 Newcastle players just wandering next to them, ready to pick up. I have to give credit where it's due. I was quite impressed with how they were set up, which is slightly annoying. And I do agree with you as well, Rafinha, absolutely phenomenal footballer, especially against us. I'm absolutely sick of seeing him tear us a new one, and St. Maxim as well. I think he's going to be, like you said, a bit of a carbon copy where we're going to watch Rafinha get a lot of space, and Everton are going to have to really tuck in with him. Otherwise, similar problems. Obviously, you've mentioned, you've mentioned the lineup, the formation. Just give me the rest of your formation, who you'd go with, and the formation. Obviously, you've said the 4-3-3.
I think you go 4-3-3. I think obviously you go Pickford, Michaelenko, and then I'd go Keane, Holgate. The own goal, Holgate just got called ball watching there. I don't think he was necessarily awful for the rest of the game. I don't think he was good, but I don't think he was bad either. I don't know if Frank will give Branthwaite a chance. But then would it be... I think he's going to go Keane Holgate, but I also wouldn't mind seeing Branthwaite. Obviously, Coleman at right back, who I actually thought played quite well against Newcastle. I saw people giving him some abuse on thingy, but I actually thought he was quite well. I thought if you had to pick a better player, he was up there for one of them, especially getting forward. He seemed like one of the only players getting forward after Gray went off who was actually troubling Newcastle a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm not against him. I don't. If Patterson's not ready, I'm not for this one who just throw Patterson in, because I don't think Coleman's awful. And in the end, I think he's good enough for a team in our position to be our right back. Because if he's not, then our fans are trying to say he's a championship standard right back, which is something I just don't agree with. The 3 midfield, probably Gomez, Allan, and Van der Beek. I think Van der Beek, especially, besides James Coleman, was really impressive in the small amount of time he had on the pitch. I think he seemed a lot more composed than a lot of the other people. He offered that. He seemed, to know what he was doing, to be able to do a lot in midfield. And I think that's somewhat Everton need. I think we need 3 in midfield. I think that's just the thing with us.
Yeah.
You have to play 3 in midfield with Everton, because especially I feel like Van der Beek and Gomez mask some of Allan's weaknesses, while Allan and Van der Beek mask some of Gomez's weaknesses. Van der Beek, I haven't seen him play enough for us yet to say what his specific weaknesses are. I think he's quite a well-rounded player. So I think having all 3 of them in midfield, they might balance out. And then...
before you get on to the wingers, in case this changes your thing, Yerry Mina's out for 8 to 10 weeks, and Damari Gray will not be fit for the weekend's match.
I had a hunch. I'd go Richarlison, Calvert-Lewin, Anthony Gordon. I don't think Dele Alli was awful, but I also think Dele Alli didn't really expect to come in. I know there was one thing where, was it Newcastle's second goal, he got ripped apart for giving the ball away and then not running back?
Yeah, he didn't chase back, did he?
He didn't chase back. But... there's no buts, there's no excuse for it really, but I'm not going to write him off after one game.
I think he's another one. He's a bit behind the pace. I hope that's the reason anyway.
I could see it. What it is right now is him being a substitute, impact player off the bench. And then, because I think, do you know what? I think there were that run he made, why he can be dangerous, why he took it down with his chest and he was just unlucky. That run from him, I'll give him that run were ridiculous. That was fantastic. But it's about getting that consistently from him. And he has been playing in a deeper role at Spurs, so maybe it is just about getting back used to being able to play that second striker role. I could see it being Gordon who's dropped. But at the same time, I think Frank knows the affection Everton fans have for Gordon. And there's no reason to drop the lad. You know, I think right now, if you go off form and everything involved, he's our best player.
Yeah.
I really do. I think he offers the most for us, and I think he's one because of him being a blue. I think it's just he naturally runs. The lad runs himself into the ground to the point where I think he's easily good enough to play in the Premier League if we go down 100%. But I think he'd stay, and I think, you know, if we go down, he is probably my shining light on us coming back up. Anthony Gordon, I feel, but I'm trying to have faith anyway. I'll see how I feel after this game. And then Calvert-Lewin is just a goal threat, isn't he? He showed it against Leeds. Leeds really struggled with him early on in the season. Gave away the penalty, obviously. His physicality. Leeds are a team who love to give a foul away. I think Calvert-Lewin could really thrive under Frank Lampard. Look what Tammy Abraham did under Frank. So I really think we could see Calvert-Lewin get the best out of him. I don't expect Dom to come out firing on all cylinders. I don't. I think the lad keeps getting injured and there's no consistency behind it. You know, what's it been now? Basically 5 months of constant on-off injuries. One long-term injury, and then a few small, consistent ones that just keep to seem to get him. But at the same time, look at how many years he consistently played without injury before these past 2 seasons, you know, at such a young age as well. When did we bring him into the squad? 20? He's been playing for us. He's been playing for us on a semi-consistent basis since he was 20. All over the pitch as a winger, a wing back under who was it that we played him at a wing back against Stoke, you know.
Yeah, it's a Koeman classic, that.
You know, the fella's played all over the place, and I think he will have a good second half of the season. I think he needs to if he wants to make that England squad. You know, especially with someone like Tammy Abraham on the form he's in over in Italy. I think Calvert-Lewin will see this as I've got to start picking it up and scoring goals now. And I don't think we're going to keep a clean sheet against Leeds. I don't think we keep clean sheets. I think the Everton strategy is now just got to be we score more than you.
Yeah, because I agree.
We need 2 new centre-backs in the summer. You know, I'm not trying to put anyone down and say they're not good enough. But with Yerry Mina's injury issues and then the other 2's inconsistencies, you know, I feel like with Keane and Holgate, they do have their days, but I just feel like the lads can't play together. Because you just know one of them will drop a clanger. And they're both confidence players. So if one drops a clanger, then you can just see another one doing it. So I think we just need a composed heading defence, or we need a real leader to step up. You know, I think someone needs to step up and really drill it to the players that some of this stuff isn't good enough, and that some of these players, you know, are better than what they're showing the fans. I really do think a lot of these players are better than what they're showing us, you know. So I think it's a thing where we need to go, and this needs to be almost an old school Everton performance that you'd see from one of the old David Moyes sides, where it's grit your teeth down and you fight for every ball. You can play attractive football, but if you're not fighting to get the ball back, then it doesn't matter, does it? So I just think we need to go at Leeds with the intention of knowing their league and a front three of Richarlison, Calvert-Lewin and Anthony Gordon can score goals. So I think that's got to be what we look for. We need to just grab them by the scruff of the neck early and put them to the sword, because after we scored against Newcastle, we showed the concentration levels dropped. It needs to be, you know, pure focus, put them to the sword and try to put them as many goals down as possible. Because even they showed against Villa, you know, they can come back from a deficit. So it just needs to be, just put them, like I'm going to say it again, put them to the sword and then hope for some defensive consistency from the defenders.
Yeah, I completely agree, mate. And a couple of interesting points there. Like, I think firstly I'll go back to the team selection. I have it on good authority from the Spurs fan I spoke to on the channel. Dele Alli's best position is right behind the striker, which I think we saw highlights of. Like you said, that run where I think he just miscontrolled it, didn't he, which gave the keeper the chance to come out. On a different day, when he's played more football, he's a bit more in the rhythm of things. That could, that could have been a chance.
I think a lot of people need to realise as well that this is still a free transfer. You know what I mean? It's a completely right now. It is a free transfer for the rest of the season. It is a free transfer unless there's some clause that we win the FA Cup. But I'm imagining there isn't because he's cup tied. So I think it's give the fella a chance. I think it's just wrong to just dive on him instantly. Look at the abuse he's been getting from the media and everything. The poor fella's been attacked ever since he's joined Everton for the clothes he wears, the car he drives. I think it is a thing where if the fans start to then jump on him and say he's crap, then he won't even be worth a free because his confidence is going to drop. He's a confidence player. A lot of the players in our team are confidence players. I feel like it's a blessing and a curse at the same time because the first run under Carlos showed what we could, the start of last season showed what we can do when confidence is high. But then this season has shown what can happen when confidence is low. So I think that's the problem with having too many confidence players in your team. But like I said, it's a blessing and a curse, really.
Yeah. I was going to say it's one of those where it's great when you're on a high, but once the chips are down, sort of thing, players start to get a little bit like this over it. I agree. I think your lineup as well is correct. I definitely start Van der Beek. I was quite impressed with him. Obviously, him and Ali, we both saw. Ali, I'm gonna remain sort of in the area of he's only had one game. Let's like you said, let's not write him off after one. There were some signs there that I was a little bit worried because I spoke to the Spurs fan and it wasn't the best raving review from him. But it's a different club, different shirt, different manager. Let's see what he does. But Van der Beek, I was really impressed. I thought he settled in relatively well. His passing was okay. Don't get me wrong, he didn't drag up trees. He didn't, dribble past four men and hit screamers or get a goal or anything. But I was impressed with his passing. He looked, this is a new team for him as well that he's been chucked in at. Looked competent enough. I think he's, a couple of weeks could be a really decent player for us at centre mid.
I think you'll see it earlier rather than later, to be honest. I think it's like I said to you, I think he offers that composure in midfield and, he's been to a Champions League semi-final. The guy knows how to, it might be one of those things, he knows how to get performances against the big teams. He knows what to do. So it's one of those things where, and he comes through the Ajax Academy, so you just know the lad's a fighter. To become a consistent player in that academy, you need to be a fighter. You need to be willing because someone's always willing to take his place. Ajax will replace you with another 19-year-old from the academy. They ain't got a problem with that. So I think it is that idea of I think the kid can grit down, and I do. Well, the kid, he's like 5 years older than me, but the lad can really do something at this team, and I feel like he's going to prove that. And I feel like, with some time to gel in the squad, I feel like a few more days now can. How long have they both been with the squad now? About 11 days? I think it's been about that. Yeah, just over
2 weeks.
So I think now, they'll have more time to gel in, more with the system, more to get to know the players. So, yeah, I think you'll really see an improvement. We might even get to see a bit of El Ghazi. I'm not completely against. I think the guy's really good technically. And I think at his best, he's a really good player. He showed that against us with that goal. So I'm not completely against it. The one thing I do like about this is, we've got injuries, but the bench looks like it has some ability to come on and have an impact for the first time. El Ghazi, I can imagine if Dele Alli's starting and then Anthony Gordon, we know can have an impact off the bench. I don't know. I'm just going to look at ours before I end up trying to think of other players. But, Patterson, I'm not going to pull up trees for Iwobi. He hasn't played under Frankie, has he? Oh, no, he played against Finger. And he played
an assist against Brentford.
In that cameo, yeah, you actually played quite decent there. But, I'm not going to pull up trees about Iwobi until I watch him actually play under Frank. And then, I think there is players that I can even see someone like Patterson really having an impact off the bench. High energy, he might I don't know who plays left back for Leeds now because it was Dallas. Now it's Firpo.
Yeah.
And that lad loves a yellow card. He loves hacking someone down. So I could see us having. I think we have a few players that could really trouble Leeds, but I think it goes both ways. Leeds have a lot of players that could really trouble us too, which is why I do think it's going to be a similar result to Aston Villa. I think there's going to be a lot of goals involved. I'm going to put the limit out and say we squeeze it, but wouldn't be surprised if this is going to be a goal fest, to be honest with you.
Well, I was about to say, as we approach the time and I'm running out of questions, I was going to ask you, what is your score prediction for the game on Saturday?
I'm going to go optimistic and I'm going to say 3-2 Everton. I think we're going to manage. I think we are going to manage to squeeze out the 3 points. I think a lot of the players are now starting to see the reality of, that game. It might sound weird. Sometimes losing a game can be the best thing that happens to you. Because it can provide that these Everton players now might finally have that reality check of, oh, we might get relegated here. And then some of the players are going to look at it like, for example, Townsend, Gomez are going to look at it of, well, who's going to buy me in the summer?
Yeah.
It's going to be who's going to want, Yerry Mina, who's going to want me. I'm injury prone constantly on the sidelines and now I've just got relegated. So I think a lot of these boys, even if it's for self-interest, if a lot of the lads we're going to sell in summer or we're going to sell soon want to perform out of self-interest, I could not care less. As long as they drag us up that table, I could not care less. If they want to perform for a few months and then leave in the summer, go for it, because we're at the point now where we need players who are going to fight for survival, even if it's for selfish needs. We need fighters at this point. And I hope these Everton players prove a lot of us wrong, and that the players that some of us, not all of us, but some of us do think aren't fighters can prove us wrong and go, yeah, we are. We're willing to grit down and prove something, because the season's not over. I think one thing I'm seeing a lot from a certain group of Everton fans, I'm not going to put a specific like stereotype on them or anything, but that they're looking at the points, understandably, and not the games. We've got 17 games left, or is it 16 now? We've got one of them. And, I'm not the most optimistic about us when we play the big teams, but we play better. We always play better against the big teams, and I definitely think we could nick a result against some of them. We were a fully fit squad and, 2 months down the line. It depends, because I think it would have to be. I think the only time we can really start talking about it is when we're well and truly, we're being put to the sword here. A win against Leeds helps, but I think a loss against Leeds and then the teams around us winning, Newcastle getting a win, Norwich getting a win, possibly. I think Norwich play
City.
a decent. Yeah, Norwich play City.
Yeah. So
it would just be our luck for Norwich to find a way to win that. But I think we just need to. I think it's what Frank said that was important, is that we need to focus on ourselves and not where we are. Because I know that sounds weird. I know a lot of fans are questioning that, well, we're in a relegation fight. Why should we not be looking at where we are? I think Frank's idea is that you're not going to improve unless you look at yourself. And I can imagine there's a lot of players in this Everton squad that look at the league table and go, well, that's not my fault. Why is that my fault? What have I done to get us there? And so I think Frank...
There's a couple, just to add on, there's a couple who were like, there is about, I always think this, like people say, look at the state of our squad. There are about 6 players that I would say are far too good to be where they are on their peak. We've not got a squad of nobodies. I could name about 6 players who from the past now probably shouldn't be where they are right now.
Yeah, I think the problem with that, though, is they don't gel, do they? I'd agree with that with Charles and Calvert-Lewin, Gray, Alan.
Decore, I don't think he should be there.
No, I think Decore's been in and around here before, to the point where saying he shouldn't ever be near here is he's been relegated before.
Not shouldn't ever, but his quality's far too good.
But even someone like Dele Alli, if you would have told someone when he was back-to-back player of the, even like 3 seasons ago, 1920, where it looked like he was going to have a bit of that resurgence year where he did quite well. I went, yeah, Dele Alli's going to be in a relegation fight in a few years' time. You'd look and go, what you on about? You know, so I think it is a thing where there's talent in this squad, but there's no point having talent if you don't work hard. I think that's the problem. You know, I think there's a few players, and I think, don't get me wrong, I think some of them is just Iwobi, for an example. I don't think Iwobi lacks work ethic. We said this before. I think the guy does try when he's on the pitch.
He's very good.
I just think it's not an intelligence thing, because I don't want to call the guy stupid because I've never met him. It's a decision-making thing with some of them. I feel like a lot of the really good players we have some issues. Ross Charleston's got consistency issues, in my opinion. I love the guy. He's one of my favourite players to play for Everton in the past few years. But he's got
confidence. I think a lot of confidence shatterers.
He's probably our biggest confidence player. Because when he's on, because it was last season where he scored 4 in a row, I think, when Calvert-Lewin was out, and we were like, we don't need Calvert-Lewin. You know, well, we weren't like, but we were like, Richarlison can replace the goal output for now. I think someone like Demarai Gray. I think Demarai Gray is a confidence player, but I think out of the confidence players, he's probably the most consistent one. Because I feel like you still get quite good performances out of Demarai Gray, even when. And like, I'll say it, if he never got injured, I think we beat Newcastle.
Yeah, I think they've disrupted. I think the injuries just disrupted the game, and then they went ahead.
I think against that high pressing Newcastle thing, we needed a player who could really dribble through players, who instead of passing it and losing it and getting swarmed, could have quickly taken it, beaten a man, and transitioned us forward. But yeah, I think this squad, if you look at the players, it's got England's number 1 goalkeeper, England's number 2 striker. You know.
Yeah, Pickford's another one talent-wise. Don't think he should be where he is.
No, but I don't think it's Pickford's fault. I think Pickford's one of the only players performing.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Though, talent-wise, there are a couple that are 6 that, like, if you're just going based off talent, are too good. But like you said, I think it's a little bit more than talent that's the issue.
I think Pickford as well, to be fair, he's handling pressure a lot better now.
Yeah,
I was expecting that game for him to have a howler, because Newcastle fans are relentless with the lad.
And they booed him every time.
I think he was consistent. He may have done it once or twice, but I don't really remember him really messing up.
He sliced the ball, didn't he? With Brad I know he did, sliced.
I know there was the double slice, but besides that, I think he was quite accurate with the ball still. I think he was calm. I do think he's the leader of the team we need.
He's a lot better than when Newcastle came to Goodison and his head went that time, and he was, pointing at Newcastle fans on the way down the tunnel and that. He was a lot more mature.
Yeah, I think he's matured, and I think he's probably one of the only consistent, maybe the only consistent player in this team where you got most of the time. Because has he made a mistake this season? Probably has made one.
Yeah, he's probably made not to the levels of knocking it back off the bar to Origi or, like the levels he's known for.
Yeah, that he gets grilled for, something I think he doesn't deserve.
Nothing that sticks in my memory is like proper howler, cost us a game sort of mentality.
Yeah. So I just think it's an idea of against Leeds is we need to just not be careful, but I don't think we underestimated Newcastle. I just think Newcastle came out, and I think we did a bit of a Rafa thing where we expected them to tire out eventually, like Southampton did in the first game of the season, like a few teams did where we've come back against them, Arsenal, where we were able to catch them when they were slowing down. Newcastle didn't slow down, and that was a problem. And my thing is, did that Bruno even play?
He got about 5. Well, not even 5. He got like 2 minutes at the end.
The best midfielder didn't even play against us.
No, he got 2 minutes.
And the 3-1, I look at the 3-1 and I go, look at the third goal. That is a goal where you can see and you just shrug and go, all right then.
The two, like the game, the goals was like summed it up. Like we scored their own goal that Holgate had knocked onto their player, then they score. They summed it up. Other than Trippier's goal, there were no goals that I thought were like, wow, fair play.
No, it was just scrappy, and I think it's another emphasis on the defenders they get caught ball watching way too much.
Another problem with set
Holgate for the
pieces
own
as well.
goal. It's not like Holgate did anything awful for it. He didn't. He just got caught ball watching. Holgate didn't stick his leg out and have a clanger and kick it in his own net. He was just got caught stood still watching the ball and it bounced off him.
None of them. Well, I know. I was going to say no one seems to know who their man is, but if you're zonal marking, that's not your priority. But nobody seems to know, even in open play. Sometimes nobody seems to be able to track a run.
I think that's what they need to drill in. I also think there's just certain players now that I think we need more pace in midfield and defence. It's what we miss without Godfrey.
Yeah.
Someone who can track someone along the pitch. And I think Alan can do that. But I think Alan is being offered a bit more of an advanced role now. He's encouraged to go forward a bit now. I think that's a big miss with Decore. Why I think... Go on.
Well, I was just going to say, because people assume Alan is like, and he is a ball-winning midfielder, people assume that's all he is. He's like an Ndidi, where, just put him in front of the back line and let him just sit there. But his ball carrying is actually quite impressive. It's quite, close touch, close contact football when he does dribble the ball. And I've seen him draw a couple of fouls, so
yeah. I think he always seems to draw one foul where he'll bring someone close in and he'll, he is Brazilian. Most of them have that ability, that close control, where even if they're a defender, they can, look at Marquinhos or Thiago Silva as examples of centre-backs who can take the ball and just be comfortable with it. I think Alan is quite comfortable with the ball at his feet. I think his passing is not amazing. I don't think it's bad, but I think he's comfortable with the ball at his feet. I think, he's one of the few players who I feel like he's confident with the ball at his feet. But I think it's just, you look at this team and I think you can already see for a Frank Lampard system what needs to improve. You can already, after 2 games, point it out, unless Keane has a real resurgence. And I feel like Keane can. I feel like Keane, on good form, is a good, I'm going to say a good centre-back. I might take a bit of a grilling for that, but I think he is. I don't know. I think it's his decision-making. I think he's an old-school centre-back, and so his instinct usually just get rid of it. But then when you ask the ball thing, and he's a decent passer of the ball, I think he's got the range of passing, if that makes sense, but not the level of, for example, understanding of a top centre-back who knows, right, I've got good passing range, but now's when I'm going to play the ball. Now I'm going to play it short. I think that's the big problem, is if we want to play it out of the defence, then new centre-backs need to be brought in, because even Mina's not a centre-back to play it out from the back. I think Keane's more suited than Mina to play out of the back, to be honest with you. Because, Mina's a much better defender, but at least Keane can do something with the ball at his feet. Mina just gave the ball away so much, and I love Yerry Mina, but I think Yerry Mina is a traditional centre-back. I think he's a traditional win the ball, not get rid of it. I think he can drive the ball. I think he's got a decent short pass on him. I think it's when Mina's then questioned to, I've got no options in front of me, pump it long. He's not very good at that. So I think that's something that needs to be improved. But, we've still got 5 months until summer starts. So Frank's got to make do with what he's got. So I think it's about finding the right players right now to fit into this system, because I don't think Frank's going to try play defensive football. I think he's going to stick to his guns, even if it gets us relegated, to be honest with you. And to be fair to him, I'm not going to complain about having a manager like Frank Lampard if we go down. The guy knows how to make a playoff final with Derby. He's got the links to Chelsea. But I'm going to say I'm confident we're not going to go down. That's how I'm going to end it. I think I'm confident we're not going to go down.
I certainly hope not, mate. I don't think we come straight back up, in all honesty. But I think we've got enough now. If we still had Rafa,
I think it depends on the route we take when we go down, doesn't it? Because there is Norwich. The Norwich approach is, if we look like we're going to go down, we need to look and go, crap, what do Norwich do? What do Norwich do? What do Norwich do? And Norwich don't do much. Norwich don't. Yeah, but I think the difference is, when you go down, players are so desperate to leave that they will go somewhere else and take a pay cut. Because what Stoke did was Stoke had big wages, went down, and then kept signing. If we go down, it's got to be because someone will buy Mina, people will buy Alan, buy Decore. I think a lot of the big names people will buy, even the big wages. Pickford will go. There's no way Jordan Pickford plays in the Championship. You know what I mean? So I think there is a lot of players we could shift off on the big wages, but then I also wouldn't trust this club signing the right replacements, because what we'd have to do is it'd be mid-table Championship players who see the step up, the good mid-table Championship players who look at Everton and go, that's my path to the Premier League, I think it's all about doing the right thing. And I think Frank Lampard is the right thing because I think if he can get us up to gear quickly, then I think next year, if we get up to gear with Frank Lampard, we could get a top 10 finish with the right signings. I really do. Because I think FFP resets. So with a bit of money, the right signings, the right attitude, I think we really can push on. Look at Villa. They went from relegation almost, a game they shouldn't have got points at against Sheffield United, to spending their money wisely and getting... Where did they finish in the end? Just behind us? Were they 11th?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So I think that's a sign of that. We just need to do the right thing, and I trust Frank. He's got a good coaching staff around him, so I just think... I said this before, and I know some people in the comments will disagree. I don't want to go into full-on panic stations yet, to be honest with you.
Hopefully not, mate. Hopefully not. That is all we've got time for today, though. I just want to say thank you, Cal, for coming on and speaking to me, mate. It's been a pleasure. Hopefully the Leeds game, we can get some points on the table because we definitely need that. I think we can all agree on that. Don't forget, guys, to like the video, subscribe, and comment down below your thoughts and predictions for the Leeds United game. If you are going to the game, and don't forget, just make it, the atmosphere that away teams normally dread. And yes, stay safe.